Okay.
Maybe.
And then I even found his email because I didn't have his email before, and I haven't heard from him, so I guess not.
If we go forward with, it's time to go. Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming this evening. I had no idea we were going to have such a full house. So for those of you who are standing in the back, please know that they are bringing extra chairs that they are going to put around the edges and down the sides so that everyone has a place to sit as we go forward this evening. My name is Barbara Greenberg, and I am delighted on behalf of the Village of Orange to see so many people out here this evening. There is nothing more important than being an informed voter. And the fact that you are here to listen to the candidates who are running for office in this community shows how important it is to each of you that this community move forward in whatever direction you hope to get it to go. And I'm guessing that there are a variety of opinions about that in this room. And so I'm going to list a few rules and regulations for this evening. First and foremost, I'm going to ask you to turn off your phones. That doesn't mean you shouldn't hear a buzz if something important is going to happen, because we all know that the world right now is in kind of a chaotic mess, and maybe your families are not going today quite the way you thought, and you cannot be out of touch. But I'm going to hope that you will turn off the buzzing so that it doesn't interfere with the comments being made or annoy someone sitting near you. So on behalf of all of us in this room, thank you for that. As well, I'm going to remind you that because this is a very full room, that you need to be at least aware of your surroundings. An exit door here, an exit door there, and of course the entrance and exit door that you came in to get in here tonight. Hopefully we won't need it, but it's important to be reminded that there are 2 additional doors available for an emergency should that arise. And last but not least, you need to know that we have a long list of questions that were sent in over the several days that announced this event. And we have done our very best to make the questions we are going to ask tonight the most important for all of us. I can tell you already, because of the time limitations, we will not get to all of the questions that were submitted. It is also important for you to know that each of the candidates that is going to be in front of you this evening will be available to you to have further discussions about issues that you think are important. It just can't be during this event. So they will make available themselves to you at some other available time for each and every one of you, because you're here and it's important to you and to them that your questions get answered at some point before the election. So with that, I am going to be mindful of the time. They are going to be mindful of the questions and their answers in a timely fashion as well. But my first beginning obligation is to introduce Scott Bilski, who is currently the president of the Orange Board of Education, to make some comments to get us underway.
Thank you. As many of you may be aware by seeing all the issue 11 signs around the village and around the community, there is a school levy that's on the ballot this November. To give you a little background, this is a permanent improvement levy. The permanent improvement was created in 2003 to protect our general operating fund, and the expenses that can be paid for out of the permanent improvement include HVAC, roof, roads, sidewalks, security, technology, vehicles, and any other long-term asset with a expected useful life of over 5 years. What is not allowed to be paid for out of the PI would be general operating, salaries, and other supplies and benefits. Those come out of the general operating fund. In 1998, our community passed the Moreland Hills Elementary Bond, and that is now, it's 25 years old, And for all of us who paid our property tax bills in July, that was the last payment. It is now going to be retired. In layman's terms, it's like our mortgage is paid off. And the $77 per $100,000 of valuation for that bond debt goes away for your next tax bill. At the school board, we have a capital budget, and we look at things on a 10-year basis. And over the next 10 years, we've identified over $25 million of known expenses during that time period. We have a current permanent improvement fund that only generates $1 million, and the rest of that has to come from our general operating fund. So the decision was made that now would be a perfect opportunity with the bond debt that's now being retired to ask our voters to support a new permanent improvement levy. The old bond debt is 2.2 mils that's going to be retired, and issue 11 is asking our voters for a 1.5 mil school levy, and that would be $52.50 per $100,000 of valuation. And that would take care of the known expenses over the next 10 years and also give us extra funds to cover the unknown. For those of you who are not aware, we have a 172-acre campus with over 500,000 square feet under roof. So it's a huge, huge operation that we have there with all of our buildings there at once, in one spot. We evaluate our campus on an ongoing basis. We check the roofs, we check the HVAC, trying to see where we are at useful life-wise and things. But these are public buildings, and over time, public buildings which get a lot of use, much like our homes, things wear out and they have to be replaced. The bones are good, and the board has made the decision to keep the buildings we're having rather than coming to you for any kind of construction, a bond issue. So as far as what this money, how much would be raised, would be $1.8 million. That coupled with the $1 million we have would be $2.8 million a year. The timing on this, we have one time to ask our voters to do this, where it would be an effective decrease from what we've been paying over the last 25 years. You've been assessed $77 per $100,000 valuation for the last 25 years. This would only be $52.50 for a net difference of $24.50. These issues are totally unrelated, but it's strictly the timing issue that creates this reduction. As far as how this affects the general operating fund, as I mentioned before, the permanent improvement was designed to protect our general operating fund. We have not gone before our voters for a general operating increase since 2011, which is relatively unheard of. Typically, those issues are designed to last 3, 4, or 5 years, and we're in year 12. In our 5-year operating forecast, it looks like we're not going to have to go to the voters for at least another 2 or 3 years. And the reason for this are twofold. Number one, there's been tremendous expansion in our tax base in our district. Over the last 10 years, we've gone from about $1 billion of taxable valuation to $1.25 billion. So it's been huge between the Lakes of Orange, Sterling Lakes, Moreland Commons, all the teardowns and large homes people are putting up. And that, coupled with the good fiscal stewardship, we think we're okay for at least another 2 or 3 years. A lot of people don't realize when you pay your property taxes, about 60% go to the schools. And most people think it goes to Orange Village or whichever the community they live in, but the vast majority goes to the schools. And the schools are a big part of the value proposition, why people move here. Most of our voters do not have children in our schools, for what that's worth as well. But I will be available here this evening afterwards if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, now hopefully there'll be some handouts out in the lobby there on the table. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. The entire school board is here. I do want to take a moment to also introduce 2 school board candidates who are running unopposed. We have Beth Wilson Fish and Angela Arnold. So thank you for your time, and please do not hesitate to reach out to me or any of the other school board members if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't take mine. Okay, so here we go. You came to hear the candidates, and so my job tonight is merely to ask the questions. They are going to be on a clock for their answers. We are going to give each of the candidates, I have my backs to you, but you know what's coming, so I can't move too far. Each of the candidates will have the exact same question and the exact same amount of time to answer. I will rotate who goes first so that everybody gets a first crack at the first one and doesn't feel like they're being left out and always at the end. Again, as I say,
I would be okay with that.
okay, and there we go. So let's get started. You don't need to hear from me. Question number 1 to each and every one of you is as follows. Community participation is vital, always. Opening statements, 1 minute. I had this so well memorized, except for the part that I get wrong. So we're going to start with Mr. Bilski.
I thought you were trying to trick us.
I wasn't. Actually, I wasn't. Go ahead.
So it's really nice to see such a great turnout here tonight. This is wonderful. I wasn't sure, but we had to bring in extra chairs, and we got some standing room. Anyway, Ryan Bilski. I am currently serving on Village Council. I was appointed to fill a spot last summer. I knew I would need to run again this November to secure the remainder of that spot or choose a 4-year term. I applied to fill this vacant spot last year. I've lived in the village for 8 years with my wife. We have 3 young children, all part of the school district, and we love it here. It's a great place. It's been wonderful for me. It's been wonderful for a lot of my family who has lived here for many years prior. I want to keep it that way. I think it's great, and I'm really grateful and appreciative to have a seat at the table, to be part of the decisions for the good of the village going forward. And so I appreciate this opportunity, and it's nice to be with you all tonight.
All right, hi, I'm Jeff Gherkins. I've been in the village for 6 years now. I have a family, 1 wife, 1 child who is a senior at Orange High School, and we have a dog and a cat. We've enjoyed living here so far. It's a very nice community, and I look forward to doing what I can to try to maintain the character and keep the community going as a pleasant and welcoming place to be. This is my first foray into politics, and so please hold your tomatoes until after I'm done. I engineer by trade. I come from a rather different background than a number of the people here, and I generally look for problems and opportunities to avoid problems and look for the root cause and a way to solve it from there. If you've got questions, I'll be happy to take them later. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Philip Madden, and as it says on my little plaque, I am running for the 2-year term, and I am the only person running for that particular option, so thank you for your votes. My wife and I moved to Orange Village 21 years ago, and a couple years later we welcomed our child, and she spent her entire career in Orange schools and is now at OSU. I decided to run for a couple of reasons. One is I think we should all participate in a democracy if we can, and this is my participation. And also I just retired from Key Bank in June, so I have the time. Key Bank, I started in the programming department. I was actually there 26 years, started in programming and ended up in the finance department for the last decade. And I wasn't not running because I think there's any particular drastic change needed for Orange Village. I think we're doing very well, and I'd like to continue that as we can. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Silberman, and I want to say, first of all, that I'm overwhelmed by how many people are here. I appreciate your turnout and your interest in all of us. I also want to apologize for being late, but there was no parking. As I said, I'm really overwhelmed. I'm a previous council member, 1987 through 1995. And I was council president several times. I previously practiced law. I went to school at Case Western Reserve Law School, so I think having a legal background can help as a member of council. I'm very interested in this community. I love the community. I loved serving before, and I'm a consensus builder. I believe that working together, especially due to the fact that we're nonpartisan in this community, will be of big benefit. So I appreciate your support.
I'm Kim Ulner, and I am a newbie, just jumping in. So my twin 11th graders and I moved to Orange 14 years ago, and we love it. The kids are finishing up 2 more years in the high school, and we've been in the school system since kindergarten. My background for work is that I'm an attorney as well as a mediator and an arbitrator. And I previously founded and owned a food business, which I sold a little over a year ago. So I have both a business as well as a legal background. I have been a volunteer. Many of you have heard my name because I'm constantly asking for donations or how can the Girl Scouts help in our community. And I've been a volunteer in the community pretty much since we moved here for all 14 years. And I saw the opportunity to serve on council as a natural extension of the volunteerism with which I believe in. I think that we all need to give back to our communities. And for me, the biggest thing is I love Orange. I think there's a lot of positives, but I would like to build our community, sense of community more.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. I am Stacy Edelman Vincent, and I've been, let's fix that. I'm not sure if the mic is, you know what, I think my voice will carry. I'm Stacy Edelman Vincent, and I've been honored to represent you as your voice on council for the past 4 years. A huge thank you to Mayor Mulcahy for her endorsement, but more importantly, for her incredible 4 decades of service. I will continue to emulate your dedication to Orange Village in all I do. The Orange Community Connection are in my DNA. My connections to Orange started early as a K-12 Orange student after a master's degree in journalism from Northwestern and 13 years as a national television news correspondent. My connections pulled me back home 23 years ago to raise our sons, now thriving Orange Schools graduates. My connections to Orange grew. President of the Alumni Association, bringing home back to homecoming by connecting all generations to the community. Kiwanis and Orange Senior Center liaison, developing relationships with those whose traditions are so deeply rooted in our history. 14 years working in the Orange Schools Communications Department as the picture lady who makes your kids smile. 4 years ago, I promised to listen to you and be your connection and passionate voice.
Well, I love to hear your voice. I'm going to ask you, like everybody else, to please be mindful of our time.
I thought because of the mic, I just missed
Yeah,
that.
I appreciate that. And speaking of mics, I need each and every one of you to make sure that you are speaking into the mic because this is also being broadcast and recorded. So we need to make sure that your voices are picked up. And because I made a mistake, that should take all the pressure off of you as you answer the following questions. And we're going to start with Mr. Bilski. And I said it before, but we'll use it again. Community participation is vital always as we talk about the elections. What ideas do you have to get the individuals of our community active in identifying both issues and solutions to those issues as we move forward? Mr. Bilski.
So I thought maybe when I got onto council that people were going to start calling me all the time to talk about this and that and with suggestions, and it didn't happen as much as I was prepared for it to happen. And I think that, I don't know if it's just certain avenues. It's not going to be probably coming around and knocking on doors. I would appreciate probably more turnout at meetings, but to be honest, I'm open for suggestions. We want to meet everybody where they are, and whatever the easiest way is. Obviously, people are very busy, and what goes on here in Orange Village isn't always, the first thing you wake up thinking about every single day of the week. But whether it's different avenues of social media or whatever it may be, I'm open to suggestions. I think that's the one thing that we never leave home without is our phone. And if somehow, some sort of community hub there is a good option for, moving forward, that would be great. But I would love to hear from more of you more often, and certainly welcome for those suggestions. So
Thank you. Perfectly timed. Sir.
All right. Brief pause while I throw my thoughts together. My big thing is that I actually don't know what a lot of people think are our issues or have identified as issues or solutions. I'm interested very much on finding out what everyone's problems are and what the opportunities are for us to improve where we are. My understanding is that Orange did a survey some time back. I became aware of this first off when they were putting in the recreational trails. And some of the features of the recreational trails were determined through a survey. And I personally would look forward to proposing a survey and finding out what people think should be done and how.
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you. I think it's always a difficult problem getting people involved. It's great that we have so many here tonight. I think we need to be able to solicit opinions from people as many ways as we can. I don't think I have any very specific proposals on that.
Okay.
I believe one way to create community involvement is to have attendance at our council meetings. And that will help people keep current with the issues. And as I said tonight, I'm overwhelmed by the number of people who are here and the interest they're showing.
I'm sorry, no one can hear anybody.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
My suggestion would be, as it is your turn, to lean in. The mics are stationary. You have to go to the mic.
let's try this again. Test, test. Can anyone hear me? No? How about this? All right. I'd like to suggest that to get a feeling of the community issues and get people involved, that we have attendance at our council meetings. And I think all of us who either are elected or holding office or currently interested in the process can encourage themselves, their family, their neighbors to come to meetings. And that's one way to try to create involvement and knowledge on the issues. I know Amanda Curlin, as one of her campaign platforms, is intending to do a community survey, which I think is essential and will help us identify issues. It's a great idea. Thank you.
Next, please.
Well, Orange is a community for all generations, and two of the things that I would like to see us do are to enact youth civic leadership positions. It's been done by our neighbors in Moreland Hills. It's been very successful. I'd like to see us get our kids more involved. It's a good resume builder for them, but more importantly, it's good experience for them. And for us, they are very tech savvy, far better than I'm guessing any of us up here. No offense to anyone, but I know better than I am. And they really have some good ideas. So I would like to have youth leadership positions where the kids are on our council, on our committees, and they can have a vote and they can share their ideas and we can listen and hear them. I think giving them a seat at the table is huge. The other thing I'd like to see us do is have a community center. We have a wonderful outdoor facilities with our park and pickleball and all that. It's wonderful. But we are in Northeast Ohio where it's cold and we need an indoor facility which could be utilized by people of all ages for meetings as well as activities and just shooting some hoops. So that is a way to build community and get people more involved in our community.
I'm all about community connections. It's my entire platform. Everybody in this room who knows me and people who are watching who know me know that I bleed orange. I wear so many different hats in this community because that's what I'm all about, is the community connections. I bridge those gaps, bringing people in from different organizations to meet people in other organizations so that everybody could work together. It's all about collaboration. It's all about teamwork. If you want the voice, you have it. You just have to reach out. I have been accused of both, gosh, do you know everybody in this town, by one of our mayoral candidates, and I've also been accused of being out there and why does everybody come to you? I'm so grateful for comments like that because that means you're reaching out. I love the turnout here. Come to our council meetings. We live stream all of them. Watch them. Give us your ideas. Your ideas are the ones that we want to share and be collaborative together.
Okay. Question number 2, and we'll start with Mr. Gurkins, if you would. Do you feel that the Orange Village Council is properly addressing the current issues that are facing this community? If so, great. If not, why not? And how would you address them and make some changes?
That's a difficult question because as I stated before, don't really know what a lot of the problems are that we're facing, or a lot of the opportunities that we have to move forward. I am aware of some of the things that the council has been doing and been doing very well, keeping up with requirements for our safety folks in particular is something that's crucial, and I have seen several activities on that front. I'm not aware of any major holes in the organization. I'm not here with an axe to grind in any way, shape, or form. And that's about what I have to say about that.
Mr. Madden, please.
Yes, I think the board has done a very good job of addressing our issues, and they are, I mean, the recent developments in the Pinecrest development, the recreational paths. I think they're on a very good path, and I think they've done a great job. So I hope people can hear me trying to figure that out. And that's it.
Mr. Silverman.
I believe the council is doing an outstanding job addressing issues that are currently affecting us. Development is going to be a major issue with respect to the contract that we have at Pinecrest for residential development. And I know there are some other development proposals that council will be addressing regarding extended care, senior living. I believe that we need to look at multifamily housing and how that might impact our residential community. It's a concern that I have, but I think right now council's on top of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I also believe council's been doing a very good job. I think that our safety forces do an amazing job. But I would like to, again, see us involve our youth and involve all generations more in our community and just take steps to do that. Additionally, I'd like to have discussions about whether we can expand the trail system. I think the trails are fabulous. I have been talking with some people on Jackson. It's a pretty narrow road. A lot of people walk on that road and walk dogs and kids walking on that road, and that might be a good place to have a trail or a sidewalk. And perhaps that can be done or cannot be done, but it's certainly an issue that I would like to look into. It's another way to provide an opportunity for people to be healthy and get outside. And I just want to make sure that we're expanding the opportunities to be inclusive of all of our residents in Orange. I think as a single mom, sometimes I do look at issues a little bit differently, and I want to make sure that, again, when we look at issues, we want to make sure that we're being inclusive of all the residents in our community, and I'm not sure that that's always done.
Well, as the longest standing member of council and the only elected incumbent up here, I'm thrilled that everybody thinks we're doing a good job because we sure try. I listen, and if there are issues, I want you to reach out to me as you have been doing, and I'm grateful for that because that's how we can accomplish things is by working together with that. I think it's a two-part question. You have to look at the accomplishments and also the goals. I'll start with the accomplishments because this is what I think we've done. My biggest one that I'm most proud of is the Orange for the Holidays book. It's an incentive coupon book. It'll be in all your mailboxes hopefully in the next couple of months. Use it. It's a tie to connect the businesses with the residents and give you both great things. We're bridging conversations. We're increasing communication. During the pandemic, I worked with Mayor Mulcahy in doing regular reports so that you knew what was going on and felt like you were listened to. Forward thinking about safety needs. This will probably be a longer answer later on, but we've increased the cameras, we've increased the flock cameras, we've increased all those things to make it safer to be an Orange resident. We've advocated for fiscal responsibility. We have a phenomenal mayor and treasurer who have done an absolutely fantastic job. We want to keep that going.
Thank you. Okay, some of you have actually touched on this question, but it came from, Mr. Bilski, I forgot that you were at the beginning of the end here. Go ahead.
No, so again, I'm privileged to be able to answer this question as somebody currently sitting on council. Speaking as a father of 3 young children, some of the measures that we've taken around safety, I think over the last year, a little more than a year that I've been on council, really meaningful. I think you've all, heard about it, read about it, some of the safety concerns we've had. But, I think we've done a great job making sure that our safety forces have the resources they need, and we really do not mess around there. And the other thing, too, around development, I just think we've carefully continued to analyze and have conversations around the potential future development of the Pinecrest area and the surrounding areas. So I think we're kind of taking the right steps. As we kind of talked to a little bit earlier on, welcome any comments, questions, or feedback from all of you. Tonight is a great first step, and hopefully you all feel like these chairs are comfortable enough you want to come back again. And, we want to keep hearing from you as to what additional concerns there may be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Several of you have already touched on some of the issues that surround this next question, and it is a composite from several that have come from the community. It is the question of what are your ideas about land use in our community? And they come with different pieces and parts. Some are talking about more pickleball courts, more basketball courts, or less. Some are looking at the dog park. Some are looking at residential changes to Orange as well as commercial changes to Orange. What I'd like to hear from each of you, and so would our audience, is what do you envision for the land that is yet to be developed in Orange, and how do you see it being used? And we are going to start with Mr. Madden.
Thank you. I think really in the master plan we talk about trying to encourage some entry-level housing and senior housing as elements that are missing in Orange. And I think certainly that development could take place, and it might be part of some proposals that are out now. I think we need to be careful about additional commercial development, because I think we have quite a bit, and I don't really think we need to have a Wendy's on Harvard Road or anything like that. And I think I'll yield the rest of my time.
Okay. Mr. Silverman.
Thank you. I'm a former preservationist, meaning trying to preserve the character of Orange Village as it is. I like it as a residential community. I don't believe that we should develop a lot, but development's going to happen, should be reasonable and structured within our zoning code. Our zoning code is very good. I like our acre-and-a-half U1 residential zoning, and of course U1A, which has permitted residential development on smaller lots. I'd like to see that land use would be as much residential single family as possible. That would be my vision.
Ms. Ulner.
Well, I think one of the things that we all appreciate about Orange is the green space that we have and the parks, which I think are a plus for our community. So I definitely want to keep an eye that we are maintaining those. And to me, that's extremely important. As I mentioned earlier, I do believe that building a physical structure of a community center would be a huge bonus for our community, for people of all ages, a meeting place. I know that Girl Scouts and other community groups have, Kiwanis, which I'm on now as well, have problems finding places to meet. And I know that it would be nice if people could meet one another and play some hoops, or get to know one another in a recreational way. So for me, as far as sort of government buildings, and I know there is discussion about either renovating or replacing these facilities, but that's another matter. I do want to see a community center, and we may need to partner with our neighboring communities as well to make that happen.
Well, on a local level, or a smaller level, if you haven't been to our park lately, please go check it out. We have a new pavilion coming up that is absolutely spectacular. I love our parks. We have parks that are second to none. Please use them, make use out of them. So many people do, and they have great things to say about them. I'd like to see a few more things in the dog park to make it a little more active being a dog owner, but that's on the much smaller scale. On the bigger scale, some of the things that we're talking about, honestly, is the economic development. When I grew up, Orange Village was a sleepy little town with red brick roads that it took forever to get to Miles Market and seemed a million miles away. Now, I've lived here for 23 years, and I see the development that we've had, and I'm very happy with it. I love that we have Pinecrest. I love that we have the businesses that we do here, but it still has that very wonderful character that we've always loved about Orange Village. And I'd like to see that continue as we look at the development of that land that is just south of Orange Place. We still need to make sure that we maintain that green space, and we can do that by negotiating well, understanding development processes so that we can minimize that development and make sure that we keep the green space in perpetuity. Thank you.
Perfect. Sir.
Yeah, not to sound like a broken record, but green space. I'm a big fan of the paths that we have put in and the just any trees that you can possibly find. We really appreciate that. We love that part of this village and that development that is going to be happening at the southern side of Harvard. I think that's a big part of the conversations that we've started having. If anybody wants to go back and watch our meeting from last week and some future conversations that will be happening, that's going to be a very important part of our conversations regarding that development. So then around commercial use as well, really trying to hone in on, yes, there will be some commercial use likely that will occur, but maybe if we can be selective, and we will be, I think, as a council around what is actually permitted to build in terms of new commercial usage. So that's what I'm focused on.
Don't really have a focus yet. It's a theme that you may have heard. Hoping to adopt focuses as we go on. One of my concerns, and I don't know how far in the future this is, but at some point in the future, we will need to be concerned with affordable living for the people who are working in the commercial and the assisted living and other facilities that we are in the process of discussing building. And that requires much harder trade-offs than most of the ones we've been discussing so far.
Thank you. As we look forward through the years of your election, should you be the lucky group that is elected, and many of you will be, what do you see immediately in the future for Orange in the next 12 months? And what do you see over the course of your term as the future of Orange? And we'll start, sir, with Mr. Silberman.
I believe development issues are going to be definitely addressed in the next 12-month period. Are you having difficulty hearing me in the back? Okay. And I believe that some expansion with respect to either this facility or with respect to the police department and fire department is necessary due to the fact that we in the late 80s and early 90s didn't project exactly what safety forces would need going into the mid-2000s. So we were a little short there. With Pinecrest and development on that end of town, I think that we might need to expand or have a substation for police and or fire, depending on how the safety forces feel. But response time in this community for fire and police have been terrific. So,
Thank you. Ms. Ulmer.
So for the immediate future, we are at a time, unfortunately, we saw it this weekend, of a lot of turmoil in our world and in our country. And I would like, hopefully in the immediate future, to see all of us come together more. We can all respect each other's differing opinions and have civil conversations when we disagree. And to me, that's an extremely important part of the immediate future, not just for Orange, but frankly for our country. With respect to the long term, again, I think everything that we can do to build a strong community are always going to pay off long-term dividends for all of us. Anything that we can do to help our youth reach their fullest potential and become contributing members of our society will be long-term benefits for our community as well. And we should be doing things to engage people of all ages in our community. And hopefully over the long term, we will be better at doing that. I do think that that will benefit Orange as well.
I think this comes down to goals, and honestly, it will take way longer than 1 minute to be able to share them. So please reach out to me afterward. I'll be happy to share more. The community-wide survey is something a lot of us have been talking about, and I think it's a necessity as we move into the next. It's been since 2014, I think was the last survey. So it's time again to see what you want and what you're looking for, and that's where we'll move forward. I started Trail Talks 4 years ago, and then we ran into a pandemic where it's a chance to use our beautiful trails to walk around together, discuss ideas, and explore our village together. I want to see that happen again. I want to obviously complete the Pinecrest residential with the upscale units that are an asset to our town. Work together to ensure that the Orange Place South property is maintains its green space, but we still keep the bucolic nature of our village. Continue the work to ensure that our village is as the resolution I introduced, it states, working, welcoming community for all. Develop something in Orange Village for Juneteenth to celebrate that kind of unity. Exploring ways to bring even more community events to Orange Village. Being able to replace more of the outdated vehicles that are coming up. And I see my time's up, so I'll leave it at that, but please reach out.
I think the most immediate, probably pressing issue beyond, whatever will happen over in the Pinecrest area is going to be this building and making sure that it is outfitted properly and has the appropriate space to accommodate the service department, fire department, police department. The job that they do is extremely important for us, and we need to make sure that we're, providing them with the space they need. So that's really one of the top issues in my mind in the near term.
Mostly already been covered, particularly the attention to the facilities for the police department and the fire department. Those, I believe, are going to need very rapid attention. As far as the trails go, those are wonderful. I love those. And they're particularly good for young people as well. For the first time since I moved here, my son has been able to actually get out of our neighborhood because we've been blocked in by streets that I would not let him ride a bicycle on. And now he can go where he wishes, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I think in the short term, really there are people already coming with proposals for the development of the area just south of Orange Place. So that's obviously going to be something that be addressed or talked about soon. And also, just as has been said, the facilities here, just making sure we have adequate space for police and fire.
Last question, I believe, is one that you have each touched on in passing, but let me give you one more opportunity. The question came in from several different people, and so I feel obligated to use the question as they wrote it. What issue or issues do you see as the most pressing as you sit here tonight that faces Orange now? And we're going to start with Ms. Ulmer.
I think the most pressing issue we have right now is, frankly, the mental health of our community members. And I think that we cannot ignore that. It's huge. I know that it's a big deal for the kids in the schools, but as we all know, it affects adults as well. And I do think that that's something that we can no longer ignore. The pandemic had terrible consequences for many people's mental health, and I do think that we need to address that and help build our community healthier and better for all of our members. So to me, that's the most pressing issue. Obviously, there are other issues such as crime that we all consider, and obviously we want to address those as well. But to me, the most pressing issue is the mental health of our community members. It goes without saying that we're all aware that we all know someone who has been affected detrimentally for that.
Well, it is National Mental Health Day today, so I will piggyback off that and say that I think the most important issue, honestly, is safety and maintaining the safety so that we all don't just feel safe, but that we are safe. It's a crazy world out there right now, not just locally, but in all of Northeast Ohio, in all of the state, all around the country, and certainly all around the world. We need to make sure that we we make sure that our residents are safe and have the wherewithal so that they can work through some of the mental health issues that really they're so scared right now because of those things going on. It goes for everyone, from our first responders to our residents. We've had just this increase, so we've put in place these flock cameras. We've put in place 200 streaming cameras. We've put in place the body cameras and the dash cams. We've increased the number of officers, and we will continue to do that as needed to make sure that we all feel safe and are safe here in Orange Village. And that goes also to things like just even speeding and making sure our seniors are safe in their homes. Safety has got to be the number one priority for us across the board.
Safety is absolutely a top priority. I think about it every day that I send my kids to school, and then you see stuff like this happen over the weekend in Israel, and it just kind of makes those thoughts echo in your head much louder. But I mean, honestly, again, the development, thankfully, we've done a great job with the safety, and we've done a lot over the past year, and our police force, and everybody continues to do a great job with that. Then moving on to the other practical matters, the development I think is a major pressing issue, and we just need to be very conscious and cognizant of what it is that we're looking at and approving.
The most pressing thing for me to find out, and I don't know the answers to this, is what the state of some of our deeper infrastructure is in the city. I noticed today, and I had talked with Mayor Mulcahy briefly about something like this just very recently, last week, that Parma is in the process of having to replace large amount of their septic fields with sewage. I don't know where we are with that, but I know that I pass a lot of what looked like septic accesses when I'm driving around the city. And literally today, Parma was in the news for their need to upgrade these systems. And I know that the general Cleveland area has issues with pollution and the risks that follow on from that. And that's something that I'm looking forward to learning whether or not our safety is at risk. Hopefully not.
I think the most pressing issues is around safety is also this facility and how it supports, it does not quite support our safety, police and fire is not quite large enough for that. So we need to address that. And the other thing would be just defining how our economic development is moving forward. I think those are the most pressing issues.
I think you've heard me mention several times development is number one issue, and safety, which we've all addressed. As I said, I think our safety forces are absolutely outstanding. Had a neighbor fall several weeks ago, taking out a garbage can, and we happened to drive by, couldn't help her up. Called 911, and fire department responded in less than 2.5 minutes. They were fabulous. But we have to position them in the right place. So that's something that we need to address and consider moving forward. Thank you.
Because of our time constraints, while I have many more questions from the community, we are going to have to cut off the question. I'm going to give each of you 1 minute to summarize who you are and why this job is important to you. And Stacy, Vincent, we're going to start with you this time.
Well, we're all here for one reason. We love Orange Village. Our collective stories create the very fabric of our community. My own story led me into public service. I began in TV news where I spearheaded the crisis teams that were deployed around the world to cover major stories. I always wanted to know more. I became an investigative journalist to fight for the community at large and was honored to receive an Emmy for that. But the true accolades for me come from the residents like you who reach out to me knowing I will listen, act, and do all I can to make a difference. Having served our local community for 14 years in the Orange schools and 4 years on council during a worldwide pandemic, I have an even better appreciation and understanding of the issues our residents face and how to resolve them. As a member of council, I represent you, and I remain committed to representing your voice. Each resident, from child to parent to retiree, first-time homeowner to entrepreneur, has a unique perspective on what community means. As village officials, we must support you. I'm grateful to have served you for the last 4 years and ask for you to vote Vincent on November 7th. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you.
I have greatly appreciated the opportunity to be part of this council over the last year and change. I have part of the reason as I mentioned before, was my 3 children and our plan to stay here for many years to come, and we want to keep it as good as we have all found it and how it continues to operate. I also bring with me, I didn't mention this at any point yet, but I did also spend 4 years working for the state treasurer of Ohio, where I managed the state's investment portfolio. I've been in banking for the past 17 years of my career, and I plan to continue to bring my business acumen, my investment and asset management acumen to Orange Village as well, to help through all of these things that we want to do and plan to do. Not only do we have an obligation to be good stewards of the community, but we have an obligation to be good financial stewards to the village and making sure that we have the money to do the things that we need to do, as well as the things that we want to do. And that is what I intend to do.
Thank you so much.
More years. Thank you.
Mr. Gherkins, your turn.
I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve the community and to help us move forward in a way that balances growth with maintaining character and remaining a community that's welcome to everyone. And that's about all I've got to say. I'd appreciate your vote, but you should vote for whoever you think will do the best job.
Mr. Madden, sir.
Thank you. As I mentioned before, I am only one running for the 2-year term, so I hope to serve you well, and please reach out to me with your questions, your concerns, where you want Orange to go. If you don't, we won't know. So, thank you.
Mr. Silverman.
Thank you. Being a member of council does mean representing people in the community. My door is open. As I said, I'm a consensus builder. I enjoyed my 8 years on council previously. When I became a council member in 1987, it was after a recall of 3 council members due to conflicts of interest, and then a resignation of 3 more. So there was 1 council member left. And Francis Kluter and I believe Stanley Stone were elected. And no, Herb was not elected at that time. Herb was appointed by Francis, Rick, and me, much to my chagrin, because he then tried to challenge my credentials. But in any event, we needed Mr. Byron Sr. to determine that my residency was appropriate. So I look forward to the challenge and working with colleagues and community members. My door is open, and I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Elmer, we'll let you close us out. Thank you.
Thank you. As a mediator, I facilitate conversations between different parties to try to build consensus and come to solutions on issues. And I want to bring that skill set to this job. I, again, want to continue my giving back to the community. I've been a very involved volunteer, and I believe that I have a lot to provide to the community. But I also want to continue engaging in the discussions and continue building more discussions between different community members. As we all get to know one another, that's how we build a community. And as we provide opportunities for one another to get to know each other and to become more involved, people feel more vested in their community, and we can all work together to help grow Orange to really become and maintain being a community for all generations. And I do respectfully request your vote on November 7th, so please vote for Kim Olner. Thank you.
Thank you all. We are going to take a break for a few minutes to thank these people.
Being here.